We've decoded the intel from the Lucasfilm spy, and it confirms the worst. Somehow, George Lucas returned.
Can George Lucas make a difference? The creator of what was once the biggest IP in the world, George Lucas is rumored to be returning to the galaxy far, far away. Because if you hear it on the internet, it's solid and you can take that to the bank.
Trust me on this, okay?
But let's be honest, does it matter?
It doesn't matter how you feel!
If George comes back to spearhead an 8-episode show or a Disney Plus movie, will that be the catalyst that returns Star Wars to its former glory?
No.
Reported by That Park Place, former Star Wars assistant director and second unit director Roger Christian claims that George Lucas is returning to Star Wars and will be involved in a new live-action series. Christian, who won an Academy Award for the original Star Wars film for Best Production Design, revealed in a recent interview with YouTuber Star Wars Theory that George Lucas is returning to Lucasfilm to work on a new live-action series.
By the end of the 6, he was so exhausted by it all that in the end, but I think he's coming back. I'm pretty sure now that he's doing a series. I think that they're now bringing him into the fold. From what I hear, because there's a Star Wars live action series coming, and I've got a strong suspicion that George will have something to do with that.
Star Wars made a massive return to the big screen with The Force Awakens in 2015 to a first weekend box office haul of nearly $250 million. It went on to make $2 billion worldwide. Star Wars Mania was at a fever pitch.
2 years later.
The follow-up, The Last Jedi, opened to a lesser amount of $220 million. Lord knows why that happened. And went on to make $1.3 billion worldwide.
2 more years later.
The Rise of Skywalker took a massive dump on the franchise to $177 million in its first weekend, and barely crossed the finish line to the $1 billion club. Barely. Star Wars shows on Disney Plus have been hit or miss, whereas hit just means...
It's alright, overrated as fuck in my opinion.
They aren't generating much interest, not sparking sales of merchandise, and not convincing people to stay in concrete bunkers or growing the fan base. As much as Lucasfilm tries to convince themselves,
it's working!
It's really not. So with the movies diminishing returns, TV shows not hitting, lackluster merch sales, an empty bunker, and the cat being let out of the bag regarding Star Wars not being profitable, what's a company to do?
Somehow, George Lucas returned.
You play your trump card. People love George Lucas, right? Even if the rumor isn't true, it'll surely garner interest in a certain show that's been ratioed to hell. But really, what can George do here other than giving a shot of adrenaline in Star Wars' ass?
Not a goddamn thing.
Nothing. I don't give credence to this George returning rumor, but for shits and giggles, here's why it ain't happening, folks.
No formal announcement.
With Disney surely knowing the rumor is out there, I would think they would want to get ahead of the story and make a formal announcement to get the greatest bang for their literal buck. Bringing in George would surely create some much-needed buzz, but a Lucasfilm announcement these days is like a dinner plate at Lizzo's house. It's pretty empty.
Lucas era is done.
Everything directly connected to Lucas has been subverted. The OG cast is dead. Ahsoka should be dead, but someone won't let her go. Anything the Lucas era fandom would want to see Lucas continue has been tainted by Disney.
Short-term gain.
Anything that George Lucas does would only be a short-term gain. A quick spike in interest, then a big massive crash. It doesn't help George's legacy, and it doesn't help Disney. George cannot fix Disney Star Wars. Next.
George's age.
George originally sold Lucasfilm because he was getting old and wanted to do other things and spend time with his family. That was 12 years ago, people.
You know, I made the decision to sell the company with Star Wars. I made that decision because I looked at the future. I looked at the fact that I was going to have a baby. I looked at the fact that I was married. And I looked at the fact that I wanted to build a museum. And I looked at the fact that I wanted to make experimental films. So my life was going on a different track. But I knew there's 3 more stories. And I knew that was going to probably take, you know, to do it right would take about 10 years. And I said, I'm 70. I don't know whether I'll be here when I'm 80. You know, every 10 years the odds get less. And so I said, and I'm not ready to do that because I want to do these other things. So I have to make the decision on my own.
Despite those that pray to the altar of Lucas, he's moved on. Maybe you should too.
Disney.
George likes to do things his way. That is not happening under Disney. Any project that George would want to do wouldn't get past the developmental stage. Can you imagine Kathleen Kennedy giving George a bunch of notes of what he needs to change?
Put a ticket and make her gay!
And I want you to get out of this office right now.
The project would be delayed multiple times. Kathleen Kennedy would tell a bunch of lies about the status of the project. And when you have 2 sides unwilling to budge, you get a result that doesn't help anyone.
This is a vast universe that I've created. I regret not doing a trilogy about Darth Jar Jar. There are a ton of new stories that could be told, but it won't be me telling them. I made my 6 movies. They are my vision, my philosophy. Disney has gone down a path I cannot follow. Disney is providing plenty of new Star Wars for you to watch, but your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
But I spoke about new Star Wars.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent, but as I was saying, my return is not the rumor you're looking for. Move along.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you next time.